Anyway, so, I'm going to talk about inflation because apparently there was a new report that's like we've got the highest rate of inflation on the year-to-year basis that we've ever seen in this country. Now, one thing to note is that is exponential, really. So it's like, but anyway, also inflation is a myth. I'm going to talk about this. But I want to read this piece from The Hill because, I just looking for something to talk about in regards to inflation. So I like to have something to criticize. I like to criticize the mainstream narrative on this one. 5 obstacles Biden faces in battle against inflation. So now apparently this is not an opinion piece. It seems to not be an opinion piece. But I mean, it is an opinion piece. So, well, I mean, all I guess articles are opinion pieces, but this is, I think, a little bit more on that line. President Biden was delivered a blow this week amid the news that inflation is rising and shows no sign of slowing down. The consumer price index rose 7.5% annually by the end of January, the fastest rate since 1982. Consumer spending has returned to pre-pandemic levels. I don't know why, but the rush of demand, lack of supply, and labor shortages and shipping bottlenecks has caused higher inflation to linger. Now, I want to be very clear. Inflation as a concept exists. Now, let me be very clear on this one. But is inflation, like, what does that mean? Like, it's just like people hear the term inflation, right? Like, what does that mean? Like, well, there's inflation. It's just like a vague economy term that 99.9% of people don't understand, and it allows for the rich to fuck you in the ass, right? So really what's happening here is, yes, there is supply chain issues. Yes, the Fed is increasing the fucking rate of printing money or whatever. Yes, mortgage rates, blah, blah, blah. Okay, those are all real things. But inflation, as it is mostly being experienced by real people in the real world, as in at the grocery store, gasoline prices, maybe, getting certain kinds of, glue or, materials. I don't know. It affects everything. Maybe, I know, graphics cards are bottled up until, 2024. They're all, on pre-order or something like that, right? So, there's a very large reason as to this is because corporations feel that they can, because they have more power right now because the supply chains are messed up. Corporations have more power in how they control the economy right now. So that means, they have an excuse to raise prices. They can limit supply to create artificial scarcity, and they're doing so. Now, again, look at the profit that a lot of these corporations get on things. Look at Walmart and other corporations, even the grocery stores. Look how much money they're extracting on top of the value of items for profit. Yes, there is a valuable service when it comes to bringing food to the grocery store because not everyone's going to buy pallets of milk, right? But again, they upcharge you already. You have to understand the way capitalism works is it's based on profit. So they upcharge you already. They already charge you way more than it costs for that item to be on the shelf. And so again, once they hear, inflation, what that means is they basically get to just change the price as much as they want. A lot of goods have gone up 20 to 30%, which, I mean, again, there is no world where the supply chain has created a scenario where the actual raw, material or the actual raw value of acquiring that item and putting it on the shelf, there's no way, no world where some of that stuff is 20 to 30% in grocery stores, right? So again, what they're doing is they're price gouging you. They're taking advantage of uncertainty. They're taking advantage of inflation, whatever that means. And also inflation is a policy choice, right? This is a policy choice to not expand our supply chain, to, we could have, when the pandemic started, sent certain kinds of, production, certain kinds of industries in high production mode with the Defense Production Act and so forth. The government decided not to do that. Instead, they decided to do corporate handout bills. Instead, gave corporations a lot of money. And again, that's what's causing inflation. What they're also trying to do is train Americans to think, we got the stimulus check, and now that's tied to inflation. Therefore, stimulus checks are bad. That's what they're trying to convince Americans. I've heard many people say that. It's like, it was great when we got the stimulus checks, but now look at all this inflation. There is no connection there. There is, the government prints money and gives it to corporations all the time. So, I guess I'm reading an article here, so let me read this article. Pandemic-driven supply chain snarls. The rapid recovery from the depths of the coronavirus recession. Again, rapid recovery from the depths of the coronavirus recession. What recovery? Like, most Americans are not recovered. Like, like, we're not recovering. Like, I'm just saying, most Americans are not recovering. Consumer spending roared back to pre-pandemic levels in 2021. I don't even know what that means. Spending on what? Like, what are they spending it on? Thanks to a combination of federal stimulus and effective COVID-19 vaccinations. But the intense demand, primarily for goods, overwhelmed supply chains still running with fewer workers and under far stricter pandemic containment restrictions abroad. The intense pressure on supply chains has left Americans paying more or waiting longer for many products, particularly automobiles and appliances hit by a global computer chip shortage. The Biden administration has also scrambled to clear up port backlogs, get more truckers on the road, and loosen up supply chains, though there's limited reach beyond the U.S. borders. Now, again, folks, an easy solution to this would be pay people to do the critical work. That would be an easy solution. I don't know. How about we raise the minimum wage in this country to like $25 an hour and do a big sign-on program, get every American to work. $30 an hour. Let's go. Let's fix the fucking supply chain. That would be a solution. But again, they're not going to do any actual solutions. This is all a policy choice by those in charge. And again, not just Joe Biden, but Donald Trump as well, because that's who started the situation, the domino effect. When you look back on this pandemic, it started under Donald Trump. So the policies that they put in place, especially during like the CARES Act, the big corporate handouts and so forth, really just kind of set the stage for what we're dealing with right now. So again, a lot of people blame Joe Biden for this. This article is talking about how, Joe Biden is the president right now, so he's got to deal with it in some capacity. But again, a lot of this started under Donald Trump. Labor shortages, the pandemic is boosting pressure on prices by making it harder for businesses to hire and retain workers. That is not true. That is not true. It is not harder for businesses to hire and retain workers as if it's like the weather, as if it's like a natural phenomenon, right? Again, these corporations are not paying people any money. $7.25. I can make more money, like gambling on the internet or like playing a fucking MMO and selling my gold online than $7.25 an hour working at fucking Wendy's, motherfucker. So a lot of people are finding other ways of making money. A lot of people are finding other alternative forms of employment that are not, necessitating these corporations. So corporations are seeing less and less people work for them, and they're not like compensating by that. Like, oh, maybe if we raise our minimum wage to like $20 an hour, maybe we could get more people to join, right? So again, they're not doing anything. They don't want to hire workers, because if they wanted to hire workers, then they would give them more money, but they're not doing so. And now what they're doing is they're shaming the poor people. They're shaming people that don't want to work for fucking starvation wages, and they're going like, oh, well, they just don't want to work. We got a lazy economy. They're all so lazy. How about you work, motherfucker? How about you try that shit? Well, the U.S. added 6.4 million jobs in 2021. Businesses ended the year with more than 10 million open positions. Workers have also quit jobs, often to take another with better compensation or career opportunities at a record rate, a phenomenon deemed the Great Resignation. So again, another thing that's going on in this country is there's no job security and there's no reason to stay at your job, right? Back in the day, right, people used to get a job. They used to work at a goddamn factory for 60 years, and then you get your fucking pension, and then you go fucking, jerk off under your fucking, whatever. I don't know. You're jerking off. You're retired now, right? That's not how it works anymore. There is no job security. There's no pensions. You don't get any benefits for staying at a job for 40 fucking years. That doesn't fucking exist anymore. So if you, people are basically, they're working, but then they're also looking for another job. If they can find something that pays let's say you're working for $8 an hour and you find something that pays for 12, fuck that $8 an hour job. Get the fuck out of there, right? Tell them, hey, I got another job lined up for $12 an hour. You can match that, or I quit. They're probably not going to match that, so quit, go get another job, right? There's no reason to stay at the same fucking place of employment. And so again, it's another thing causing these corporations to cry. They're crying a lot because, they can't effectively control people, and that's a problem. For them, rents are rising. After collapsing during the onset of the pandemic, rents rose 4.4% in the year since January 2021, and economists expect them to steam ahead. While house prices and rents have both been fueled for years by an affordable housing shortage, the latter is a key component of inflation, a major force behind the 7.5% annual inflation rate. So again, rents are increasing. Who controls what rent is? Landlords. Landlords don't actually work. All they do is basically just buy a building, and they sit on that building, and maybe if you're lucky, they'll fix the roach problem. if you're lucky, right? And that's really an if. And they basically are just detached from society. They're parasites, right? So what they see is, oh, inflation. Let's take advantage of that, right? Again, they're just upping their rates. Maybe they have a higher grocery bill, so like, oh, wow, well, I still want to make 3 times the money I need to survive via rent, so instead of cutting into my own income, I'm going to cut into the poor people's income. That's what they're doing, fucking landlords, fuck them in the face. Inflation momentum. Economists have paid close attention to how consumers and businesses expect inflation to rise since the rapid price increases of the 1970s. Steadily rising inflation led to what economists call a wage price spiral, a cycle of workers requesting higher wages and to cover rising prices, forcing businesses to boost prices to cover higher employment costs. Now, again, they could just eat into their gigantic fucking profit margins, but of course they're not going to do that. That's the main problem here. Okay, so again, these corporations are taking advantage of the situation by massively jacking up prices, even widening their profit margins. And again, they are the ones destroying the economy. Don't let you think, oh, well, it's, my nephew, Timmy, quit their 3rd job and got a better job. That's go Timmy. Like, he's got a better job. Like, this isn't like I don't know. But again, these are all kind of designed in a way to make you hate poor people. Energy shocks. Oil prices rose substantially in 2021 as the rapid recovery from the coronavirus recession fueled a surge of consumer demand for goods and travel following a sharp decline in oil prices. How about, we fix this whole, these are all policy decisions, right? Now, again, how is Joe Biden going to do these? How is Joe Biden going to handle this? Probably not going to be handling it too well from a poor person's perspective, but from the corporation's perspective, handling it really well, actually. Again, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make you think coronavirus stimulus checks were a bad idea. That's why Joe Manchin here, this guy, has been telling people, the stimulus aid is what caused inflation, right? They're trying to make poor people seem like they're lazy, like, oh, they're quitting jobs, they're resigning, when in reality, most of it is just people shifting around, from workplace to workplace, right? There's no job security. There's no reason to participate in this fucking economy anyway. What the fuck are you people even buying? Like, what are you buying? Like, besides food, what the fuck are you buying? And besides food and drugs, what are you buying? And Nick Cage movies and PS1 games. What else is there in the world to buy? And Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That's really pretty much it. You don't need to be buying anything else. You could buy a super chat for my Above It All live stream. Besides from that kind of stuff, what else do you need to buy? Let's be honest, right? Take this moment with this rapid inflation, sit out a little bit. Maybe just watch from the sidelines. Maybe, buy some less stuff. Maybe think about the food that you're buying. Maybe try to find a ways to eat cheaply for a couple of months. It's worth just see what happens. Eat as cheaply as you can. Stock up on dried beans and stuff like that. See what you can do. Prep for the future. Cause that's what I'm doing. I've got mountains of dried beans, in the other room. So just in case, and also if if the prices keep rising, what I'm going to do? I'm going to be buying more food now, to prep for the future, cheap food now. That way, if the prices keep increasing, let's say beans go up another fucking 5%, 10%. Well, I've already got my beans. So buy beans, eat beans, maybe sit out some of the buying expensive things and see where this goes. But again, that's just my opinion. There is a concerted effort by the owners of this country. There's a concerted effort to fuck us in the ass and not in the good dick way. Let me just tell you. So again, just, try to resist that. Don't go out shop, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to participate in the economy. I say fuck the economy. Fuck you. Fuck the economy. Fuck inflation. And, that's it. That's all I got.